Nowadays, trusting anyone, especially someone you meet suddenly who becomes overly friendly in a short time, is risky. Somewhere, somehow, they might have ulterior motives. They could be using you for their own selfish gains. The time when people saw others as human beings is fading away. Today, we are discussing an incident where every boundary was crossed for one thing. Hello, friends. How are you? Today, we will talk about the Payal Bhati and Hema Chaudhary case. The case begins in Uttar Pradesh's Gautam Buddha Nagar district, near Delhi NCR. In the Surjpur area of Greater Noida, there was a house owned by Pradeep Taylor. In this house lived a woman named Hema Chaudhary, who stayed with her family as tenants. Hema was married and had a 7-year-old son. She lived with her mother, a sister, and her son. This was in the year 2022. Hema worked at the Van Heusen showroom in Gore City Mall, Greater Noida West. The mall was about 16 kilometers from her home. She used to leave for work in the morning and return by night. On the night of November 12, 2022, Hema didn't return home by 10 p.m., which was unusual. She messaged her sister, Mamtesh, saying, "I'll be late tonight. Don't sleep, keep the gate open." Mamtesh waited, but time passed 12 and 1 am still. There was no sign of Hema. Mamtesh started calling Hema, but her phone was mysteriously switched off. This worried her. She began calling Hema's colleagues, friends, and acquaintances. Everyone said the same thing. Hema had left the mall around 10 p.m. after her duty ended. By morning, November 13th, there was no trace of Hema. Her family grew increasingly anxious. They searched everywhere, contacted relatives, and even inquired at the mall, but found no leads. Hema's 7-year-old son started crying, asking for his mother. They told him she had gone out for work and would return soon. For 2 days, the family tried everything to find Hema. On November 15th, exhausted and desperate, Mamtesh filed a missing person report at Bizrak police station, providing all the details, including Hema's description, her work schedule, and the circumstances of her disappearance. The police began their investigation seriously. They tracked Hema's phone and reviewed CCTV footage near Gore City Mall. The footage showed Hema leaving the mall around 10:30 p.m. and getting onto a bike with a young man, heading towards the Dadri area. Police identified the bike as an FC model and tracked the call records from Hema's phone. The last call was made to a number belonging to Ajay Kumar Thakur. Media reports revealed that Hema had called this number 4 times that day, the last one at 11 p.m. When questioned, Hema's family had no idea who Ajay was. Further investigation revealed that Ajay and Hema had only been in contact for about a week. Ajay's location history matched Hema's. Both phones were last active in Badpura village, under Dadri police station. The police traced Ajay to a house in Badpura village. Residents there denied knowing Hema. However, they revealed that Ajay was romantically involved with Payal Bhati, a girl who had recently taken her own life under mysterious circumstances. Payal left behind a note blaming her disfigured face, burned by hot oil, as the reason for her decision. Her family cremated her without informing the police. Further inquiries revealed that Payal had been deeply troubled after losing her parents in 2022 and being forced into a marriage she didn't want. Meanwhile, Ajay was also missing since November 12th. His family had filed a missing person report, fearing foul play. The police suspected Ajay might hold the answers to both Hema's and Payal's cases. Tracking his movements, they discovered he was alive, frequently changing locations. The police intensified their efforts, activating informants and monitoring his call records. Despite receiving multiple tips, Ajay managed to evade capture. Investigations continue as the police unravel the complexities of this puzzling case. When the police team arrived at the location, the suspect had disappeared. During this time, Ajay's connection with a friend came to light, a friend he had met recently. The police detained this friend and used him to lay a trap to capture Ajay. On December 1st, 2022, the police received a tip-off from an informant. Acting on the tip, they set up a blockade at the Char Murtigal Chakar Road in Greater Noida and began vehicle inspections. On the same day, Ajay Thakur was apprehended. He was riding an FC bike, and there was a girl sitting behind him. However, this girl was not Hema Chaudhary but someone else entirely. The police took both of them to Bizrak police station for questioning. The girl introduced herself as Payal Bhati, a Gujar whose face was reportedly burned, leading her to end her life. Her brother had even conducted her last rites. Yet here she was, alive. This revelation shocked the police. When Payal's brothers and others learned of this, they were equally stunned. The question arose, if Payal was alive, whose last rites had been performed? Why were these individuals hiding from the police? What had they done? Where was Hema Chaudhary? Ajay Thakur refused to divulge anything, but Payal Bhati began to reveal the truth. Payal Bhati lived with her parents, 2 brothers, and extended family in Badpura village under the Dadri police station jurisdiction. The family lived a happy life until 2020. Payal was deeply attached to her parents. Her father, Ravindra Kumar, was associated with a media organization. According to media reports, Payal was the only daughter and had 2 brothers. One of her brothers, Arun, was of marriageable age, but financial constraints due to the lockdown delayed the wedding. During this time, a middleman named Sunil, who happened to be Payal's cousin, her paternal aunt's son, got involved. Sunil helped arrange Arun's marriage and lent the family rupee 1 lakh for wedding expenses. Arun eventually married a girl named Swati. Initially, the family was content. However, after Arun and Swati's marriage, issues began to emerge. Sunil started demanding the repayment of his loan. Payal's parents requested more time, but Sunil pressured them and began verbally abusing them. Meanwhile, Swati began accusing Payal's father of inappropriate behavior, threatening to file false charges of misconduct. This compounded the family's stress and pushed Payal's parents into severe mental anguish. Unable to bear the pressure, they consumed a toxic substance on May 17, 2022. After consuming themselves, they ended their lives. This incident was a huge shock for Payal and her brother. According to Payal's family, she did not shed a single tear at her parents' demise, nor did she talk to anyone about it. People assumed that she was in deep shock. Meanwhile, Payal and her brother received a letter written by their parents, which explained the reasons for their decision to end their lives. They mentioned being under debt and falsely accused, which caused severe mental stress, leading them to take such a drastic step. Subsequently, Payal's brother Arun and she went to the Dadri police station and filed a case under IPIC section 306 against 4 individuals. Their cousin Sunil, Arun's wife Swati, and Swati's 2 brothers, Kaushik and Galu. These 4 individuals were accused of harassing and mentally torturing their parents, leading them to their tragic end. According to Arun, the police did not take significant action. However, the Dadri police claimed they had sent the forensic samples and the note written by Payal's parents for analysis. Despite this, the report hadn't arrived yet. The police also submitted a charge sheet to the court, and the accused were out on anticipatory bail. Payal held these 4 individuals responsible for her parents' deaths and raised her voice against them. After they were released, Payal became so depressed that she attempted to end her own life by slitting her wrist. She was hospitalized, and the doctors managed to save her. Following this, Payal resolved to take matters into her own hands and punish the 4 individuals. Losing faith in the law, she decided to avenge her parents' deaths herself and began planning meticulously. Payal started watching TV crime series, social media crime news, and documentaries to execute her plan. She also shared her intentions with her boyfriend, Ajay Bhati, and told him that she would marry him if he supported her revenge. Madly in love, Ajay agreed. Payal decided that she would fake her death before killing the 4 accused, so no one would suspect her. She asked Ajay to find a girl who resembled her in height, complexion, and build. Payal herself searched for such a girl. After several failed attempts to abduct 3 girls, she turned to social media and even considered hiring call girls. She shortlisted 18 women and asked Ajay to contact them. Ajay offered money to lure them, but none agreed to come to their rural area. Most of them preferred staying in cities. In November 2022, Ajay visited Gore City Mall to meet a friend, where he spotted Hema Chaudhary, who looked very similar to Payal. He informed Payal, and they decided Hema would be their target. Ajay befriended Hema and learned that she worked there to support her 7-year-old son. Despite knowing about her child, Ajay convinced Hema to trust him and even introduced her to Payal as his soon-to-be wife. On November 12th, Payal planned the murder. She crushed sleeping pills and mixed them into the dough to make flatbreads, feeding them to everyone at her house, including the tenants, so they would fall into a deep sleep. That night, Ajay brought Hema to Payal's house, where she was warmly welcomed. Later, Ajay took Hema to the terrace. Payal followed them with a knife. While Ajay held Hema, Payal slit her throat. To ensure no one suspected foul play, she inflicted cuts on Hema's wrist, similar to her previous self-harm marks. Payal poured hot oil on Hema's face and neck to make her unrecognizable and planted a suicide note she had prepared earlier. She changed Hema into her own clothes and adorned her with her jewelry to make it appear as if it were her own body. Then, she and Ajay fled with Hema's belongings, dumping her clothes in a nearby drain. The next morning, Payal's family discovered the body and assumed it was hers due to the belongings found nearby. They conducted the last rites without informing the police. Meanwhile, Payal and Ajay rented a room in Bisa Colony, preparing for the next phase of their plan, to murder the 4 accused. Payal bought a country-made pistol and cartridges. On November 27th, Payal and Ajay married at an Arya Samaj temple. Payal was unaware that Ajay was already married with 2 children and belonged to a different caste. The police eventually caught Payal and Ajay before they could execute their plan. During interrogation, they recovered Hema's belongings, the murder weapon, and other evidence, including Payal's practice notes for writing the suicide letter. Payal confessed that she had also planned to kill Ajay for deceiving her. Payal expressed that she wouldn't have killed Hema if the law had punished the accused. Hema's family demanded justice for her murder.